to. Oh, okay.
That's new.
She doesn't normally say that.
Oh.
So anyway, yeah, I basically watched that. A few years ago, there was a whole series of Shakespeare films made by Channel 4. And they're usually about 15 to 25 minutes long on average. And they took all the popular plays and one or two others. There's probably about 8 or so. And they can all be found on the internet. If you just Google Channel 4 Shakespeare animation, you'll find it, because they're all animated tales. In fact, I'll just see if I might have the DVD up here. Let's have a look.
I know all those, yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
They're brilliant. They're really, really good.
Although you can get them online, I ended up purchasing them because it's nice to have them all available, and you can see the different stories. And they've got really lovely, famous actors, as you can see: Hugh Grant, Felicity Kendall, Zoe Wanamaker, and all of those people. All those great names that you will know already.
It's really good, yeah.
I haven't even opened that. Can you? Had it a few years now.
You can look it up on YouTube as well. Actually, they're on YouTube.
Yeah, they're all on there. But actually, so I took along all my drama games and techniques and so on, and by then I could kind of bluff my way through pretending that I loved Shakespeare and all the rest of it. And
then you started loving Shakespeare.
By the time I started, it was halfway into the job, I did love Shakespeare, and I started going to loads of plays, and the only reason I hadn't been into Shakespeare before is because of school and the way we had to study it in those days, which was just sitting down, reading the script and analyzing each word.
It doesn't work.
No. And even in Shakespeare's day, that never existed, because they just had, every actor had his piece of script. So nobody actually had the complete play. They just had the bits that they had to learn. So there was never a time when they all sat down and just read through a big book, And what I discovered, as we all probably know, is that Shakespeare is all about storytelling. And it's not about difficult language. That is in there, but that can be, you can even get a love for it. But yeah, so I ended up with loads and loads and loads of Shakespeare games, and can recommend some great books as well. And it seems like basically at that time, everybody was stealing games from everyone else, because the pack that I got from Shakespeare Festival for schools was based on National Theatre and RSC. And then around the same time, the Globe also brought out their own education book. And with similar games, but quite a few different ones as well. And if you really get into it, I would recommend the Globe book is really easy to read. The RSC book is great if you want things to photocopy and hand out.
Which one?
That's the Globe one, yeah. Excellent. Creative Shakespeare.
It's brilliant.
And I've got it, if you want to look them up, I've got a page on my website, which is all about those books. Let me just find that for you as well.
Seen it.
Shakespeare. Here we go. So, top 5 books. There we go. So let me just share my screen and show you those. So yeah, I put my top 5 books in there, and any of those, just get one of those to start off with.
The toolkit is brilliant as well. It's really good, and I've got this one as well. The for primary, the next one. That one, yes, I got that one too. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, so you can't go wrong, because it was a time when people were just developing lots of ways to involve children and young people in Shakespeare, and as a result, they came up with loads and loads of stuff. So today, what I'm planning to do is to go through one of our lesson plans, because I've recently added a couple of lesson plans to the course website, and yeah, talk about some Shakespeare games. And Jenny, have you still got something that you would like to talk about this month, as you weren't able to be with us last time?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Great. Okay, so we'll leave plenty of time to have a chat about your thoughts as well.
Yeah.
And hello, Sarah Jane, you've made it. She told us.
Yes, I just had to pop my daughter over to the orthodontist.
To where, sorry?
I had to pop my daughter over to the orthodontist. So
right.
we just had to fight traffic to get back home.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm glad you did it safely. So what should we start with? How about a game? Okay. Anybody come up with any new games that they loved recently? Quick straw poll. Okay.
My kids always loved the Grandma's Knickers one.
Yeah, what? Grandma's Knickers?
Tell us
Well,
about,
Grandma's Knickers or Smelly Socks.
is that the one where you have to keep a straight face?
Yeah, and ask lots of questions.
Ah.
And you ask lots of questions and the person can only answer Grandma's Knickers or Smelly Socks or whatever words you like. And they have to try and keep very...
Okay, so can you ask some questions for us? And who's going to have a go at keeping a straight face?
I'll try.
Jenny, I reckon Jenny is the one to start with. But she's already got a smile on her face, so she won't last
I
long.
love your face.
Okay, over to Ola and Jenny.
Okay. What's your name?
Grandma's Knickers.
What's your favourite food?
Grandma's Knickers.
What do you like to wash your face with?
Grandma's Knickers.
What do you call your teacher behind their back?
Grandma's Knickers.
Okay.
All right, no, I think Jenny passed with flying colours.
Yeah.
Any
Oh,
kids
very
would have been in stitches by this time. Yeah, that game goes back actually. We used to play a very, very similar game when we were kids that still had the word knickers in, but not the word grandma. We had to say sausages, knickers, which, you know, sounds very suggestive now, but when we were kids, we didn't really get that aspect of it. It was just like having two random objects linked. So obviously some of these games just persist over time. Okay.
I wonder why.
Yeah. All right then. So I'm going to show you a little magic trick actually. So this is one that you can do with your kids, and you have to build up to them, build up to this, and explain that you're going to share with them some magic that was passed on from your grandfather or grandmother or even great grandfather and so on. And are they prepared? Are they ready to see this magic trick? Okay, so hold your breath, but don't forget to breathe out after a while. Here we go. So could do with a drum roll actually. If anybody wants to make me a drum roll, that would be really good. Okay. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Look at that. Do you want to see it again? Okay, here we go. And another one. And here we go. All right, okay. I'm watching myself on the screen, which is confusing me, so I won't do that. Okay, here we go. Da-dum, da-dum. Okay, you can do it much better than me, but that's it. Okay, quick magic trick. Was that really horrendous? It was,
No.
wasn't it?
No.
I think the
Oh, it
kids
was
would love it.
fantastic.
So I had a whole act actually. I was once in this pub show where I was a magician, and it helps if you've got white gloves actually when you do this to make it look more like a conjurer and so on. And I think because it was a pub show, we ended up doing this to the audience as well. So I didn't see that one. Anyway, so all right then. As you can see, I'm well prepared as usual. So we're going to go straight into looking at a lesson plan. And I'm going to take you over to the website. Here we go. So over to the website, not my calendar, but the
I thought it was mine for a minute.
website. Right, here we go. So yeah, I've added in some new lessons. We've got one from Josie, and we've also got one from Nikki that I've added in. And I know I am slow at adding in lessons. I've got others that I want to add in as well. So just as a reminder, I've still got all my drama lessons there that you can look through at your own leisure. And then this is where we've got lesson plans from yourself. So a new one we've got is Handa's Surprise, which we'll look at today. And we've also got Hamlet Zoom lessons from Josie. So if you haven't visited the site for a while, have a look at those. And hopefully you'll find something useful. So Nikki sent this in, and I was already aware of the book. And it's a lovely picture book.
Yeah.
And in case you don't know it, I've got a video here which we'll watch. And the other reason why I thought it would be really good to have a look at this lesson is because it's based on teacher in role. And to be honest, that's something that I don't use that much. And some teachers use it all the time. I think especially if they're working with younger children, but it can work with all age groups. I tend to use it as something that you can dip in and out of, but some teachers swear by it and will do a whole lesson in character or in different characters as well. And some teachers will also, if they've got a classroom assistant as well, involve their classroom assistant. And that can be really nice because you can have sort of guest characters coming in. So I thought we would start off. Actually, I'm going to unshare and then share again. Where's my button gone? Because I want to make sure I've got the sound correct.
Just getting
sometimes I lose my mind, but I also lose my share button. There it is. Okay. Sorry, I'll just share again. And this time I'll switch on share sound. That's it. Right. So here we go. Let's have a look at the video first of all. Let me know if you can't hear it, but it should be all right for you. Oh, let's make it bigger.
Handa put 7 delicious fruits in a basket for her friend Akeo. She will be surprised, thought Handa, as she set off for Akeo's village. I wonder which fruit she'll like best. Will she like the soft yellow banana? Or the sweet-smelling guava? Will she like the round, juicy orange? or the ripe red mango. Will she like the spiky-leaved pineapple? The creamy green avocado? Or the tangy purple passion fruit? Which fruit will Akeo like best? Hello, Akeo, said Handa. I've brought you a surprise. Tangerines, said Akeo. My favorite fruit. Tangerines, said Handa. That is a surprise.
Okay, there we go. So, right, good. So hopefully you followed the story, not too complex. But the picture book is really nice because it's just got lovely illustrations, and it's a very simple story, obviously great for young children because it's got a lot of repetition in it. So let's have a look at the that's not it, the lesson plan. So this is designed for year 1, age 5 to 6, and it's just over a 1-hour lesson to get a greater understanding of the story, to learn about where Kenya is and some animals that live in Kenya. So let's talk about teacher in role first of all, and hands up if you think you have ever used teacher in role as a technique. Okay, all right. So teacher in role is very simple. If you have ever read a story to kids, then you can do teacher in role, because when you read a story, you take on a different character quite easily when you're speaking in different voices and so on. And that's all you need to do, really. You just take on the persona, and it's not about having an award for acting, an Oscar, or an equity card, but it's just about being able to play a simple role. So it's not something that we should be afraid of, and it's best to do it in a very simple way. Some teachers like to use a bit of token costume, a hat or a scarf or something like that. You can even use an object to signify that you're taking on a different role, like a wizard stick and so forth. Okay, so teacher in role as an explorer to begin the lesson. And today, everyone is going to put on their imagination hats and think about animals that they really like and make a still image of the animal that they would choose. So let's do it. Let's all be our favorite animal. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to think of an animal and then to make a still image of that animal after a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so have a think. Okay, favorite animal. Right, I've got one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's have a look at Yan Zhao. What do you think she might be?
Oh,
Some sort of bird, maybe?
giraffe.
Maybe a
Giraffe.
snake? Oh, what were you? A
Giraffe.
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 Ah,
Yes.
that's what I thought you were at first, honestly. So let's have a look at Sarah Jane. Let's see your animal.
Oh.
Can you move about as your animal now to show us how it moves? Ooh.
Elephant. No.
No.
Okay.
There's a big one. A bear, yes.
Bear.
A polar bear.
Oh, a
Oh.
polar bear. Okay, great. Yeah, lovely.
Polar
And
bear.
Jenny, you look like you're ready. Off you go. Let's see your movements. I think you're a bird.
Nope.
Butterfly.
Yes.
Okay.
Butterfly.
Oh
Nice.
yeah, because she's got more graceful wings than a bird. Right. Okay, so Linda, over to you. And oh,
Rabbit.
A rabbit.
yeah, excellent. Josie.
It's a bit hard, actually, this one.
All
Okay,
right,
so I'll
good.
do this first.
Ant. No. Oh. Caterpillar.
A deer.
Snail.
With stripes.
Zebra.
Zebra. Okay, great. Cool. Ola, let's see your animal. Oh,
Cat.
pussycat.
A cat.
Yeah. And
A fish.
An
A
iguana.
gecko.
yeah, gecko.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. I like it. That's really good.
All right then. So
Can you all hear me today?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, we
Oh,
can
so
hear
you're
you.
just ignoring me. Okay, great. Okay.
Yes.
Unless you said something important that we all missed, in which case we were
I-
ignoring you.
David, I never say anything important, but thanks for thinking I might.
Ah, I think you do. I think you do. Okay, so I think we can all do that, and it kind of helps to play these games, actually. Nikki, this is your lesson. So when you're playing Explorer, do you have a hat on, or how do you introduce your character?
Yeah, I do love to dress up and do teacher roles. So I would wear a hat, probably for this. You see, I've got run of the drama cupboard as well. So I'd wear a hat, like a waistcoat. I'd probably channel my inner Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones.
Oh, excellent. All right. So you
I'd
put on,
probably go for it. I do love to dress up.
and sounds like you like to act as well. So you put on a bit of a voice as well.
Yeah.
And I suppose you could even use a bit of music as well to set the scene. Because get a bit of that sort of Harrison Ford adventure music might be quite good to get the children's imaginations going. Great. And so I always like when I'm playing a game like this with children of this age group, I like to use a tambourine. And this kind of dates me because when I was doing drama as a kid, the drama teacher would always have a tambourine, and I just think they're really handy to use because you can shake them as the children move around, and then you can freeze them just by clapping on the skin of the tambourine. So I love to use that, and children love reacting, shake it and then freeze, shake and freeze. And that's, it's a bit like the game of statues, really. So I think it's always good with that age group actually to link to games that they already know, like those statues is one of the ways that I always explain still images or freeze frames, because they generally will have played it before they come to school. Any other thoughts about the lesson so far?
It's good.
Yeah, it
I
is.
like it.
So we've kind of done that part. So we've moved from our still images and could also introduce the sounds of the animals. So next we're going to go on a journey, and for this part we're going to make a boat. Well, we're not going to make the boat now, but you can watch a video all about it, which I have watched, and it's kind of quite intriguing, because I've always known how to make a paper hat, but that's about it with folding paper.
Origami.
But there's a link to an origami video as part of this lesson plan. So I think that's down at the bottom, isn't it? Is it resource number 1? Yeah. So I'll just show you that. So we've got that linked in, so you can just pop over to that and have a look. And,
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently, so
and
you
they
never
always
have to slow
have
down
ads
at work.
these days,
Stay on top of emails,
Mm.
documents, and more.
Who else has
without having
Grammarly
to
ads
stay
when
put.
they try to
Whether
watch
you're working
something?
on your
Yeah.
computer or on your
Maybe
phone.
it's just a UK thing because we love our grammar so much. But just to kind of fast forward a bit, it's very clear instructions which you could use with the kids as well and pause it if necessary, because it's it doesn't go too fast. So you're ending up with the kids making a paper boat, which is lovely because it kind of helps them to invest their imaginations a bit more in the story. And I'm just reminding myself of this. So in their paper boat, do they draw themselves, Nikki, in the boat?
So there's one paper boat for the class, but then they all have their little self-portrait.
Ah.
Cut out and they decorate themselves. So then once I've decorated them and bring them back to the carpet, and so everybody, or whoever's teaching would then go round with the boat, and everybody puts their little figure into the boat and says, I'm on board. So everybody's sort of...
Okay, nice.
Well, I've realized that that's much better than how I described it, because I've just realized that 5- and 6-year-olds won't be able to do that origami very well. They might be able to do it with parents' help at home, but I've just realized that you would need to give a lot of attention to which corner you were folding and all the rest of it. But you could certainly do that with older children. But it's nice that they all get to go on the boat together. That makes a lot of sense. And they're going off to Kenya and also putting on their life jackets.
Wow.
Now, stepping onto the boat, do you do your drama lesson in your classroom, Nikki, or in the hall?
Yeah, so for the younger ones, it's in the classroom. But most of the younger ones spend a lot of time they all have big carpet spaces. So we can all be on the carpet for the younger ones. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's the beauty of working with those little ones. They don't take up much space. So I know that some teachers like to have a sort of ritual when children set off into a story drama. Do you use anything like that? Like a magic spell or a chant or anything? A colleague of mine, Patrice Baldwin, who's quite a well-known drama teacher, she gets the children to make up a chant that they use each time they're going off into an imaginative drama. And she calls it Storyland. So, we're all going to Storyland. And she gets them to decide what they're going to do. For example, they might jump up in the air, turn around and clap their hands and say, we're going to Storyland, or something like that. So they all do that. And the reason she likes to do that is it makes it clear for them when they are getting into role. Yeah. And equally at the end of the journey, in terms of de-rolling them, she has the same ritual or a similar ritual where they step out and come back to the classroom. And that's I think that's quite helpful for some children who kind of get confused about when they're playing a role and when they're themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's going to be a personal choice, I think. Do you find anything like that, Nikki? Do you find that the children can understand that role play and taking a role on and coming out of it again?
I think certainly for the younger ones, so much of their learning is with play anyway, that they're going in and out of role when they're playing anyway.
Yeah. It's kind of seamless.
Naturally.
Yeah. Okay, so for most kids, I think it's going to be quite normal, isn't it? So lovely activities for hoisting the sails and talking about what they might expect to happen in the story when they get to Kenya, taking off their life jackets, and you can use a travel portal if you don't want to do the boat journey. A piece of fabric draped over 2 chairs that the children crawl through, and suddenly they're in Kenya, or they're in wherever it is that they're traveling to for that particular story. That's a nice idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how often do you get the chance, I suppose, to do this kind of activity, Nikki?
Well, this year, not much.
Yeah.
But from September, I'll be doing it weekly with years 1 to 6. So yeah, I'm quite lucky really in that I'll get that opportunity. So the kind of thing that you're talking about, do you tend to use teacher in role as your default or preferred approach? No, it depends what I'm doing. Not always. Quite often I'll do a lot of teacher in role where classes will be, so year 2 use me quite a lot as Mr. Twit. I really love dressing up as Mr. Twit and going in when they're looking at Mr. Twit and they can ask questions. So that's sort of guided by the class teacher, I suppose. But I just help, especially for the younger ones, I just find it helps them engage with what we're doing more, because you're already sort of bringing it alive by being in that place, and you're playing as well. You're not standing back and watching them do it. You're really immersed into it in the drama as well.
No, that makes sense. And I think for that age group, they're looking for the teacher to demonstrate really as well, because they're brand new in school or pretty new, and they don't necessarily know what it is that they're expected to do. So having the teacher demonstrate in that kind of way, I think is really helpful. Great. So we've got a soundscape of what they might expect to hear in Kenya, and a whoosh. And we've also fantastically got the whoosh story all written out as part of the lesson plan. So you don't have to think about adapting it yourself. You can check it through before you use it and tweak it if necessary. But it does. Did you find it took long to write this whoosh, Nikki?
Not really. I knew the story quite well.
Yeah.
So not too long, and I was sort of looking at the pictures and seeing what other characters were in the pictures. So bringing those in as well to make it more children were involved.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I mean, it's quite a short story, so it didn't take too long.
Yeah. But I think that one thing you mentioned there, I think is really useful in that I've found when writing a whoosh story that you don't want to just stick to the characters that are mentioned in that story, but you want to think more laterally about what else might be in the environment, so that you can bring people in as trees or rocks or whatever it might be, to involve more children and give them a sense of the world of the story as well. Yeah, great. So I think so we've got the whoosh story, which basically takes them through the whole of the book, I think, and then we've got the journey home. So in a way, actually, you know, that journey is a ritual as well, isn't it? It
Yeah.
kind of is in place of it. That has a very similar function, I should say, to having some kind of imaginary ritual and taking off the life jackets to, you know, I think that kind of brings it to a clear stop. So we've got, did I miss anything out? Like,
There's an Imaginarium when they first get there.
I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
I missed a bit out. Yeah. So there's an Imaginarium. There we go. Which we all know what that game is by now. And so you establish that by asking them what they can see around them, asking them questions about the environment and geographical features as well. So how you ask these questions, I think, will depend on what kind of preparatory work you've done with the class beforehand. If they're already studying Africa, for example, then they may already have a lot of ideas about what to include. So this is obviously for younger kids. But let me just come back and stop the sharing now, just to talk about teacher enroll in general. And it would be interesting for those of you who have used it before, could we share one or two experiences about how other people have used teacher enroll? If anybody can dredge something up from their teaching. Linda?
I'm not sure if it's teacher enroll.
Yeah.
So for clarification, that would be very helpful. But I would do grade 7 and 8 here in Canada history class, and I have a 4-part monologue on Catherine. And so Catherine comes in and she tells us what it was like to live during the time when she was accompanying her husband from Great Britain over to Canada to live in a fort, and what it was like to be in the barracks with the men. And I break that up over 4 parts. So is that teacher enroll?
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they get to ask questions and tell them, and then when I come out of roll later in the lesson, what do we know about Catherine? What do we think we know about Catherine? And what are we still curious about?
That's good.
And do you choose to use any costume?
When I'm on site, I do, just for the sake of I'm there in front of them. When I'm I may just take my glasses off when I'm in character, or I may put my hair up different. Sometimes I'll wear a shawl, just something very, very simple on camera. But when I'm in the classroom, oh yeah, that's the best part. Right, Nikki?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you know, you said, I don't know whether this is teacher enroll. The term of teacher enroll really is a broad church. You know, it incorporates so many different things. It can incorporate role play where you just stick in role the whole time, no matter what. Or it might just be a bit of hot seating, for example. I watched a teacher who was playing an evacuee child, and she just came in and did sort of like 10 or 15 minutes as this child, and the children asked her questions. Another time I had some great fun when we were doing Theseus and the Minotaur with some children ranging from 5 to 10 years old. Actually, we had some younger ones working with older ones. And what was nice about that is I had somebody who was working with me. So I was the Minotaur or the Minotaur monster, and she was the interviewer. And so she had a pretend mic, and she took questions from the audience. And that's really helpful because it can be hard to actually negotiate with the children to encourage them to ask the right kinds of questions whilst remaining in character, you know. And there's kind of different stages and levels that you can do that at. So if you're playing a role, I've probably mentioned this before, but you can either be in a role that is equal to the kids. So for example, everybody is an explorer, or you could be in a superior role where you're the explorer and they are the student explorers, for example. Or you can be the person who wants to find out and they are the experts. And this is where you get a crossover with the technique called mantle of the expert, where the teacher gives the children the mantle or cloak of the expert and invites them to actually teach her and to teach each other what they need to find out. So if you were doing mantle of the expert with Handa's surprise, it would be more a case of, you know, we've heard that there's, for example, we've heard that there's a girl in Kenya who wants to take a present to her friend, and she wants some help deciding what kind of present to take, you know, for example. And then you give the children the role of researchers or explorers, and they have to go off and find out what might grow in Kenya, what sort of presents that people might give each other, and so on. And this can be something that some schools use as a default teaching method, actually, for everything. And they will do a whole term or even a year based on one particular theme, where the children are, for example, there's a Mantle of the Expert website that you can go to if you just Google mantleoftheexpert.com, where they had a diving exhibition to bring up a wreck that might have some archaeological items of interest on it. And the children become a diving company, and they have to work out what they might need to do a dive. You know, some of them will be finding out about the ship. Others will be learning, you know, how divers dive and maybe how they communicate to each other. Others will be learning about the role of archaeologists and so forth. And you can imagine that sort of thing would take a long time to do. But that's kind of like, you know, park that for now. That's a whole other thing. But going back to teacher in role, it can literally be that 5 minutes as a character, or it could be, you know, as it is here, a lesson where you take on the role of the explorer for the majority of the time as a way into a story. So I'm aware that we wanted to give Jenny some time to talk about what she wanted to say last time but wasn't able to. So I think we'll stop there, because I could easily ramble on about teacher in role, but I think we've had enough of that for now. So thanks, Ola, for a wonderful lesson and resources, which, you know, even if you're not teaching that age group, do have a look at it, because the structure can be used for different ages. Okay, Jenny, over to you.
Sorry I couldn't make last month. I got my timings muddled up with another course I was meant to be on. I've just started running drama workshops at the weekends for kids with the same syndrome as me, Kabuki syndrome. One of my question was that one young person that was coming to the workshops was using an electronic device. The rest could all speak normally, so it was how I would deal with the make the workshop accessible for everyone. It was just if anyone had any tips on how to make it accessible for the person using the electronic device that can't type as fast. So it was just if anyone had any tips on how to make sure that the workshops were accessible for everyone.
I mean, when I've worked with in special schools, for example, where you can get a whole range of different needs and people who communicate in different ways. I don't know. Yeah. So actually, let me backtrack. Do these children know each other already?
Some of them have met before at family days, but some because they have a family day every year. But some of them are new. So yes.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe one suggestion might be to think about using different methods of communication. So obviously there's mime and there's dance that everybody can do quite easily, without the need to use words. And what I was going to say about special schools is that where you've got children who have got more severe needs or maybe just take longer to communicate, what's really nice is when other children work with them and help them, because it gives them an understanding of other people's challenges. So I would say maybe, that's just another suggestion, is that you actually pair people up where possible. Or maybe find somebody who might like to work with this particular child alongside them, because actually it's teaching them much more than just what they're learning through the drama as well. They're learning something deeper. So that's my initial advice. What about anybody else?
Well, I think that for me, I don't have the technique necessarily, but I know that in my experience, it's about creating that space right from the very beginning, that everyone matters and how they communicate is unique to them and their own experience, and that the way that we're going to be learning together is inclusive.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what it would be, but there might be a way of layering things so that those who are faster have another layer of activity that they can bridge that amount of time that it takes the individual, whether using electronic device or not. You're going to have a range of pacing of students, and if there was a way to say, okay, if you finished early, then you may, this is an additional layer that you can work through. We're not all going to be able to do it today, but if you find yourself finishing early, then here's something additional. So that everybody gets the basics, like everybody gets the really important stuff, and then those that aren't quite as quick don't miss anything. Just kind of off the top of my head.
Like extension
Yes.
activities. Yes.
Yes, that's the word. Thank you.
No, that's really good. Yeah, but and I think pair work could be really good, and making sure that that person gets the chance to work with lots of different kids as well. So that they all kind of understand, the challenges that person is facing. I mean, assuming they've, as they all have the same syndrome, they're all going to know, that there are different levels of challenge within that syndrome as well. Jenny, have you worked with kids who've communicated in that way before?
No, and I wasn't warned before I started the classes that I would have someone with verbal difficulties coming into the workshops. So it was a surprise for me and the kids as well, because the kids didn't know beforehand. So I suppose in the future I would put it, because I did a Google form for them to sign up. So I think in the future I would put any additional needs that may be required. Yeah. So I've definitely learned to add that onto a Google form if I have to do them again.
And is it as an online session?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So will they? Sorry, I was not thinking it was online, which was silly, really. But will they may well have an adult with them as well?
Yeah. Their mum tries to help, but they're trying to encourage independence as well.
Yeah.
Would there be any way that, I don't know if it would work, that you could send what you're doing ahead of the session? So the child,
that's a good idea.
Think about what they're doing, so they're sort of prepared about what they might want to contribute within the session.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Excellent. That makes a lot of sense. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, to do a mixture, maybe to be more towards the visual kind of drama and the physical drama. And, a lot of that, freeze frames and movement and so on, looking at pictures and becoming characters and so on, and moving as different characters. There's a lot that you can do and explore in that way. What's your theme? Or have you?
Well, they have a different theme each week, whatever they wanted to work on. So this weekend I've got two themes. The Worst Witch and Black Beauty are the two themes that each of the classes wanted to work on. So yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've got a tiny class as well, for little ones, or for ones that maybe don't have the capacity to do drama as such. So I do a storytelling and nursery rhyme workshop for those as well. So yeah.
Wow. Busy girl.
Yes, definitely.
No, that sounds great. Okay. And so have you run one session already?
I've run 3 now. I've got
Okay.
my final one this weekend for the block, because the trustees of the charity that I've been working for kindly said that they would pay me for 4 weeks. So it's my last weekend this weekend of doing it. So yes, but they've got a family day in September, which they said I could do a taster of in the room, and have a sign-up sheet for people that want to sign up for them from after September as well, which will be good. That the charity want me to keep doing them, because I think it's really connected people as well, that maybe weren't connected before, and that they've found a love of drama through it. So yeah,
that's excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, really sounds really positive.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let us know how it goes in the last session as well.
Yes.
What's your last one going to be on?
The one's going to be on the Worst Witch, and one's going to be on Black Beauty.
Two different ones, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So have you already covered different themes before now?
Yeah, I've done 2 Harry Potter ones, because they're quite Harry Potter mad. So yes, so I've done 2 on Harry Potter, one on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as well, one week. And then in the other group we've done Moana. They wanted a class on Moana, and so I've covered quite a lot within the 5 weeks, because I did a taster week as well for them. So yeah.
Okay then. So right, well, thanks for asking the question, and I hope some of our advice might be helpful to you.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yes, thank you very much for that.
All right then. So maybe just to, has anybody else got any issues that they would like to bring up? Otherwise, I'll suggest something to finish with.
I don't have an issue, but I just thought we were talking about getting into a story, and Jan and I were thinking, Jan had a great idea. Doing the Harry Potter workshop, she's going to give out tickets, and I'm going to design some tickets to get onto the Hogwarts Express. And then I added to this and said, well, why don't we give them the tickets, and then we get them to pretend they're on the train, make a soundscape and a movement with it. And you could do the same when they end the workshop at the end, get on the train again, go back home. So it's a similar sort of thing.
Yeah. No, that sounds really good. And I think having physical artifacts can be a really good
tickets. Yeah, I love the tickets bit. Good job.
Yeah, I sent a letter to each of mine that were coming to the Harry Potter workshops, as if they were about to go to Hogwarts. That they've been chosen to come to this magical class to try and give a bit of insight into it. Yeah,
that's lovely as well. Yes,
we did a social justice play once on new immigrants to Canada, and we set the play in the cabin of a plane. And so rather than, not a literal plane, but that's how we set the stage. So when people came, they got boarding passes. Yes. And that's how they found their seats. And then they sat among the characters, and the stewardess went up and down the aisle, and that's how we sold theater snacks and made some money from concessions, was we went to the people in their aisles. And that kind of immersive experience, people were still talking about it. So, I mean, if you can get grown-ups to participate, kids love that stuff.
Yeah. People like being involved, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to throw in a Shakespeare exercise, as that was something that was mentioned earlier. As Nikki's been so kind to share her lesson plan, I'll share my idea. So I'm trying to think, I can't remember the name of this exercise, but it would be called something like one-liners or something like this. So the idea is that if you're doing a particular Shakespeare play, for one of the activities, you choose some lines from the play, or it could be one particular scene. For example, if you were going to study one particular scene on that day, and you basically snip the lines up so that you've got one line on one slip of paper, and you've got enough for everybody who's in the group. And you randomly distribute these. The way I've played it before is it was used as an introduction to Shakespeare in general. So we had actually lines from lots of different plays. And, you know, that can be another interesting way in. But I think if you've got something more focused, it's even better. So you give each person the line and they have to just read it on their own. And if they're not sure about any words, they can ask about the words. And then there's a series of different ways in which you would like them to speak the word. So you get them just to walk around the room and just to swing their arms and feel relaxed and to breathe in and out easily. And then you can start off with something like just whispering the line. So it's a really good thing to do because a lot of people aren't confident to begin with, especially if they're speaking strange words. So you just say to them, right, I want you to whisper the line so that only you can hear it. Just read from the slip of paper as you're walking around and just whisper the words to yourself. And then you have another one, which is imagine that there are some invisible people around buried in the walls of the room or in the corners of the room. I want you to go and tell your line to one of these people as though it's a secret. So off they go and they whisper their line to an invisible person. And then you just get them to say the line in lots and lots of different ways. And eventually what happens is they start to learn that line without really realizing that they know it. And so, for example, you might say things like, I want you to read the line as though you are selling oranges on a market stall. To be or not to be, that is the question, whether 'tis nobler in the mind, to be or not to be. You know, so it's going to be a line that is really as short as that. And they've just got to say it in lots of different ways. It could be a witch making a spell, to be or not to be, that is the question. Somebody who's telling somebody else that they love them or they hate them. Maybe they're eating something that's really delicious and saying that, you know, you get the idea. You can just come up with lots and lots of different ways. And then one part of it is really good fun, is you divide the group in half and send them to different ends of the room if you're playing it in real life. But you could equally divide your Zoom group in half. And you get them all. Oh yeah, you say, right, today we are very lucky because it is the semi-final, of the Speaking Shakespeare competition. And here we have on this side of the room the contestants who have made it through the national heats and they've won competition after competition. And here they are in the semi-finals to show you how it is done. And then you get them all to come forward and you get the other half of the room to give a big round of applause and to welcome them in. And then you say, right, after 3, all of you together, let's hear your lines. And you can build them up, and you can say, you know, as you know, these actors know that when you speak Shakespeare, you have to project your voice as loudly as possible. Use your arms to make gestures. You know, you sort of really build them up. Anyway, you get them all to do that all at once, and they should repeat the line a few times rather than just say it once and stop. And once they've done it, give them a big round of applause from the other group. And then you just swap over and say, well, that was fantastic. And now we are at the final. And here we are. Here are our finalists. And they have made it through the semi-final, and, you know, etc., etc. So it's just a way of really building them up. One more activity that you can do with them is, and this is where it gets a bit more kind of meaningful with the line, is you get them to look at the line and say, and choose for themselves, what is the key word in that line?
Yeah.
Or it might be a key phrase. So for me, it might be question, for example. To be or not to be, that is the question. Or I might choose not to be. That could be my phrase that I decide is the most important for me. And then you get them to think of a gesture that goes with that word.
Yeah,
and then you just get them to practice saying the line, but having that one gesture, you know. And that would probably be done before you did that competition part of the game. Now, I've told that in a sort of slightly random way. So what I will do is I will post to you a proper description of the game on Facebook so that you can see it all written down with all the bits, the other ideas that I haven't mentioned, and in the proper order. And when I've used it, it really works. I've done it with teenagers for one group, and they really got into it, and they weren't really expecting that they were going to do some Shakespeare, you know. And then, of course, if you then move on to a scene that includes those lines, then they'll be quite pleased to realize that they already know some of the words.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's lots more where that came from as well. There's Sorry, who said?
I did a similar game with the Pirates of Penzance. So we did the Pirates of Penzance. We were under lockdown because we had a positive case in my class. So I was trying to find something fun to do online. So we watched a live production of the play on YouTube. There, it was offered for free. But the language is very difficult for them because they're not used to, I don't know in the UK if it's the same, but in Canada, kids are very uncomfortable with that very old-fashioned style of speaking, and the vocabulary is not really. So what I did was I took a whole bunch of lines that were kind of key parts of the play, and we imagined we were throwing a ball at each other. And so if you were doing it in person, you would actually throw a ball in like a circle, and everybody says their lines, but they vary saying their line each time. So they can never repeat the same line in the same way. They always have to present it a different way. And then afterwards, we had a discussion of what do you think the play might be about? What do you think these lines mean? What do you think the themes of the play might be? And they really enjoyed that introduction to the play. And I think it helped them to understand a bit more what was going on in the play. As you said, they were familiar with some of the lines already after saying them.
Excellent.
And some of the lines were pretty ridiculous, so they had a lot of fun delivering them.
Yeah. Now that sounds really good. I've just found the exercise actually, so I'm going to share it with you. Let me just do that. Right. One Line Express is the name of the game. So One Line Express. Yeah. Here we go. It's being uploaded, and I'll also put in there some the quotes that I was given to use with this exercise. a load of quotes from lots of different Shakespeare plays. So let me just grab that. And oh no, I keep grabbing it and it keeps escaping. Right, I've got it now. Finally, it's uploading. Good. I'll share that in the Facebook group as well, just in case you don't download it and in case anybody who couldn't come today wants to read it. Okay then, so thanks very much to everybody for playing with us today. And I can see we've got another little participant in the corner.
Yes, I was seeing her peek over Jan's shoulder.
Yeah. You can see a second face in your monitor, Jan.
Oh, there. It's your cousin.
Daughter. No, my friend's daughter.
Ah, right.
Yes, because I'm on family vacation, so I'm in the hotel.
Lovely.
Nice hotel.
Yes.
Okay then, so thanks very much to everybody and see you on the next session. Hope that you've got some useful stuff from today. And thanks for bearing with me and also for sharing all your ideas and thoughts.
Okay.
Been brilliant. Thank you.
Have a great meeting, everybody.
Thank
Thanks a lot.
you.
Have a good
Bye.
one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.